is suitable for general viewing.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear beloved viewers, my name is Faisal Kassim and welcome back to the live real talk after 5 weeks break during the holy month of Ramadan. I miss you so much. I hope you miss me too. Anyway, tonight we are starting on a rather not so positive story. Of course, the ceasefire that was agreed upon, some party decided to violate it and resume what we decide to call as the worst genocide to have ever been witnessed. According to the title of our show tonight, this is the first ever genocide to be televised, not just in one, not two, not three, but hundreds of TV stations all over the world. It's a genocide that is being witnessed by millions, if not billions of people from all over the world, people taking sides for economic, humanity, or political reasons. I have decided to take an aside because of one, religious, and two, humanity. I have decided to take an aside. I don't know about you. Have you taken a side yet? We are talking about the genocide that is currently happening in Gaza. People are complaining about it. Governments are talking about it. Even the Secretary General of the UN, the United Nations, is on record to actually raise the matter on the floor of the UNGA, that is the United Nations General Assembly. But what has been done? Of course, we're still hopeful. We still believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that very soon, very, very soon, something is going to happen, something is going to be done. But again, to help us dissect a lot of issues, including why do you think the ceasefire agreement was violated, the global politics, the geopolitics of it, for example, the effect of Donald Trump in it. Right now, we're seeing the movement of presidents like Putin and other global presidents in it, why they are doing whatever they are doing around it. And of course, last but not least, how we always conclude is, what can you and I do about it? Helping us to dissect on some of these matters is our brother, Sheikh Mohammed Abdinoor, who is a lecturer and a consultant on matters peace and security. And of course, he has a deeper understanding on this matter of the genocide that is currently happening right now. He's also visiting an honorary lecturer at the University of Nairobi, and they'll help us discuss some of these matters. Sheikh Mohammed,
United Nations University, not University of Nairobi.
United Nations University.
Yes.
Sheikh Hussein, UN and some United Nations University. Thank you for the correction,
yes,
Sheikh.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you so much, Faisal. I really want to thank you for having me in your studio. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity, and we say hello to our viewer. And inshallah ta'ala we will go through this discussion. It's important, as you have said, we are talking about humanity. This is a global phenomena. It's something that today every country, every household, every human being who cares is talking about.
Yes.
So helplessly, unfortunately. So we'll ask ourselves the question and try to look for answers. Who is this person, which is this country that's so powerful than everyone else in the world, that can violate all international legal instruments and international rules of engagements, as well as international humanitarian and human rights laws? And how powerful can a single country be? This is something that we really need to analyze a little bit. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and let's proceed. Looking
forward to a fruitful discussion. Sheikh Mohammed Abdinoor, I think just to further explore into that aspect where you just started discussing about when introducing the matter, the question would be, this is something that has happened thousands of kilometers away. In your opinion, why do you think it's important to have this discussion tonight, or any other place within our borders as Kenya?
I mean, this is happening right in our eyes, in our view, thanks to technology, thanks to the global community. And everyone is feeling it. It's not thousands of kilometers. It's the pain that we feel as human beings. And number two, because we are one global community, we don't want to set a precedent and regret like we have done in the past. We have had World Wars, First World War, Second World War. Closer home in Rwanda, you know what happened with the genocide in Rwanda. And therefore, as human beings, we have to live at a time when we will never regret the past. We live also in a global community where there has to be order. In a civilized, so to speak, society that respects humanity. And therefore, it's right hurting everyone, because who could be next? It's 1,000 kilometers, how many thousands of kilometers? But who could be next? So the question that we need to ask ourselves is, as humanity, it's not an individual, it's not a country, it's not race, it's not color, it's not religion. What we see is destruction at a global scale, you know, something that we have never seen before. We are talking about more than 1,000 children either killed or injured just within a day, in the first day of after the violation of the ceasefire. Mm-hmm. We are seeing the world acting with part of the world acting with a lot of impunity. The world has rules of engagements. After the 1948 Second World War, mm-hmm, and the many others that we have had the Geneva Conventions and yes, the additional protocols. This is what any civilized nation, civilized people, and civilized global nations are supposed to go by. Otherwise, what worries us in our bedrooms is this rogue government of Israel and its supporters, and it is the people who are abetting all this. There is a reason to worry. It is Palestinians today, it could be anyone else tomorrow. So this is the reason why we need to worry. And this is the reason why we have to act firm, we have to act now, and we have to act just.
Interesting. So you've mentioned about, you've given quite a packed answer, so just want to try and unpack it a little bit. And one thing that really caught my interest is the abettors of these heinous acts and heinous crimes against humanity. And I'd just like to further expand it and look at what or who do you think are some of the enablers. Of course, we know some of the enablers, for example, like the first world countries and their governments. They're actively supporting them. If anything, they're on record for spreading hate, propaganda, and actually some of them, like for example the US President, the President of America, Donald Trump, talking about clearing Gaza, the whole Gaza Strip, and for them to be taken elsewhere and that to be occupied by other people. I don't know who are those other people. But so what, apart from some of these leaders, do you think are enabling such a situation, and why, in your opinion, do you think they would enable this genocide to continue happening?
I mean, what's going on in Gaza is a test for whether the international legal mechanisms and instruments are working, and whether those first world democracies that have always boasted about human rights and international humanitarian law, whether they mean one thing and do the other is also a test. Number three, Israel is getting funding, is getting support, is getting weapons, and therefore it's not just an island that's isolated. Just the way Gaza has been enclaved and nothing goes in and outside, it's business as usual for Israel. Many partners, many countries are making business with them, are allowing them their airspace, they're allowing them their seas. They're still providing weapons and aid and funding. It's good that you mentioned President Trump. This is what has shocked the world. And therefore it tells you then, if President Trump said US first, then literally it also means Israel first. So it tells you who plays the game in the US. So true to his word, what the President Trump meant is US first. So then it means then who is the
Who is the real
Who
US
is the real
in
US,
this
yeah.
case?
The US is still funding Israel against,
Against many people's expectation. I mean, nobody expected
not
that.
Not really. Even without that, what shocks people, we have the ICJ, we have the United Nations, and we have the ICC. The International Criminal Justice has referred Israel to as an apartheid occupier. That's ICJ. It's not Kenya, it's not any Arab country, it's not any other ordinary institution. The United Nations has confirmed, this is the biggest global organization that we have, which we are all party to, and we all are members, has confirmed that Israel is committing genocide. And the International Criminal Court, and in this country we have a history. You know what happened
Yes.
after the elections in 2013.
The post-election violence to
violence,
yeah.
and how a sitting president then and his deputy and many other people were indicted. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants to the president of Israel, who is Benjamin Netanyahu, and many of their leaders. These people are still free and interacting with world leaders. Netanyahu, as we speak, is in the US. As he was traveling to the US, he flew over many countries that allowed him the airspace. So really, that's something that's shocking. So back then to the question is, what are the enablers?
The enablers, and why are they enabling?
The enablers is that it actually tells you that we are a very delicate global community. The rules of engagement will work when it favors you, and it will not work when it doesn't favor you or your partner. So in this particular case, the US and Israel and some of their allies have exhibited a very, very draconian and a very uncivilized conduct in terms of the rules of engagement with regards to international instruments as well as the international community. Interesting. So we see a situation where the United Nations, the biggest organization in the world, which should have been the last resort, where everyone finds solace and everyone finds justice and everyone finds support, looks so helpless. I mean, they are the ones who have said that Israel is committing genocide. The UN Secretary General every day is talking about the same thing. He's talking about relief supplies having piled outside Gaza. He's talking about starvation. He's talking about Israel having weaponized aid and many other things. So really, it is time now. It is time now to review the international legal instruments. Are they working for us or they are not working for us?
Wow.
This is a very, very good test. Who are the enablers? Israel has many neighbors. It's not just an island of its own. A lot of the neighbors of Israel still allow access in terms of whether it's road transportation, whether it is movement of goods and services to Israel. We know these routes, how they pass. It passes through many countries. Saudi Arabia, it passes through Turkey, it passes through. And we know what happens with the Red Sea. So the enablers is that a lot of the neighbors are still dealing with Israel in a very, very civilized way. Uncivilized Israel, but still neighbors who are exhibiting restraint, who want to engage in a very, very diplomatic process. Okay, and finally, who are the enablers? You know, the enablers are the quiet voices. The global citizens are rising. University students are rising. The media is engaging. So the quiet ones, and particularly the mainstream media, thanks to the social media and thanks to a few of the global media, are still abetting, this genocide. They are not telling the stories, despite this being a war that has had the highest number of humanitarian workers either injured or dead. The highest number of journalists,
yes,
either injured or dead.
Yeah.
By keeping quiet, by not talking about this, by not telling us the real stories. Of course, access is an issue, but a lot of this information,
the materials are available online, so you can just
online.
get it, package it, and
so if you are in the US today, or you are in UK, or you are in Australia, what kind of news are you watching? What kind of real-time information are you getting? So the enablers are the quiet voices.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective that I never saw it that way.
Yes.
But thanks much for clarifying. Again, you see, one thing I've noticed or I've seen, but you give packed, very comprehensive answers, of which lingers more and more and more questions. And again, so one of the follow-up question I want to ask, or rather follow up with that, is, so you've spoken about, for example, the loud enablers, the first world democracies, the UKs, the US, the Frances of this world, going outside there and actively supporting, either in terms of military intelligence, actually giving money, funding, right? Of which it's honestly a sad state of affair to actually witness that. But again, now, so here's the thing. Should we generalize and say that the US and the UK and maybe Canada is supporting, or the governments of US, UK and Canada are supporting? Because in equal measure, we have seen protests from their citizens condemning that act and actually pushing their governments to come out and declare Israel an apartheid state. For example, the largest demonstration to be ever witnessed in London, we saw the London Bridge, was about Palestine last year in 2024.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We have seen there is no other time in the US where students have come out more consistently with one message in unison, apart from stop funding Gaza, stop funding Israel. Right? We have seen that. But again, the government will still turn a blind eye, put a deaf ear, and continue and normalize relations with this country. So is it fair then to say that their governments are supporting, but the country itself is not supporting?
I don't think it's a policy of the governments. But there are those people who are in power. I mean, the leaders who are in power, whether it's the voices in the Congress who are not able to stop the flow of this funding, or whether it is the presidents of those particular countries. I don't think there is a policy that says that, you know, we have to abet this. Unfortunately, what happens is that we have people in leadership position who are not necessarily leaders, who are now ruling the world. What do I mean by that? You know, leadership is all about action. What you do and what you say should be the same. So leadership is action. The actions that we see are very, very unfortunate ones. So really the global citizens we have seen, you know, what you said, the demonstrations in the US, only equivalent to what we have seen during the civil rights movements in the 60s.
Yes.
People come out in their numbers. Yes, the global citizens are talking. The global citizens are protesting. But those who, they don't have the power in terms of confronting their governments to stop this genocide. But their voices are being heard every other day. But what the governments are telling them, people in government or the leaders are telling them, is that, you know, you can shout as much as you can.
But we will do what we want.
We will do what we want. And particularly, unfortunately for the US and the UK, we have seen many statements by the government of France, and particularly the presidents, who has a number of times condemned this. But the US and the UK are quite clear in terms of both their actions and their words. And it's the same thing that I have told you. You know, when Trump said US first, we actually did not mean. We actually did not.
So right now we cannot separate.
So who rules the US? Whose voice is heard in the US? Who determines what the Congress does, and those kind of things. And also take you back. You know, there are massive corporations, international corporations. There are massive companies that are making business. it's immoral. It's immoral. Whatever dollar value you make, if you still continue to fund, if you still continue to support, if you still continue to supply Israel, that has now been clearly indicated by as a genocidal regime. Faisal, it's not me and you. The names that I have mentioned is ICJ, ICC, UN. Countries, African Union. You saw what happened a few weeks ago.
Yes.
So it's like big brother against everyone else. And I don't think this is short time, because you can't rule the world with an iron fist. You can't dictate to the world. It's only a matter of time before everyone else realizes that for a long time we have been hoodwinked in the name of human rights. Or is it that it matters when it's certain people's, you know?
They say not all monkeys in the forest are the same.
We saw what happened in Bosnia. It's a repeat of the same thing. It's a repeat of the same thing. Is it a section of the society? And very, very clearly when a Muslim is involved, that the blood of a Muslim, the slaughter of a Muslim, the killing of a Muslim, the genocide of a Muslim doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the case of Bosnia that we have seen. It is the case of Myanmar that we have seen, and now we are seeing this in Gaza. So it's not something that I'm saying as a Muslim, but it's something that's now quite clear. So what is this double speak? What is this hypocrisy of the highest order that's being displayed? So what we are telling to the international community and the citizens of the world and people of all faith is that it is time that we act firm, is the time that we speak loud. It is a time that whatever that we can do within our means, non-violent means, that we must demonstrate. Otherwise, there will be no fair level ground for all of us. The future of the generations to come and the many, many nations that we have is in jeopardy. If what is happening now in Palestine passes without repercussions, without arrests, without accountability, then it will pass with everyone else.
Because it's just a precedence.
It's a precedence. So if we have always been told the world is a global village, we are a global community, we must speak the same voice now and not tomorrow or yesterday.
This is the time to demonstrate.
This is the time to demonstrate.
Thank you so much.
This is a time to write. This is a time to say. This is a time to support. This is a time to petition. Your governments, whichever part of the world where we are, it is time to petition your governments to act firm against this rogue administration. Yes.
That's amazing. That's really, really, really amazing. And thanks so much, Sheikh Mohammed Abdinoor. Right now, we are due for our first break right here on Live Real Talk, and we're going to take that extremely brief break just to have some sips of water right here in the studio. And I hope you're not going to touch that dial, because after that, we're going to come back and discuss about now. This matter, it's finally closer home. The president of Kenya has spoken from what can be easily misconstrued as both sides. One, he said, supports Israel. That was, of course, after the unfortunate October 7th. And, of course, last year when he went to Saudi Arabia, we saw a sort of change of tune, calling for a two-state solution. So, right now, I would like to understand. So, how do we handle it now here as Kenyans citizens? What are the next causes of action for you and I as Kenyan citizens? How do you go about it? This and much more after the break.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Are you looking to stay informed about the amazing stories within the Muslim community? Do you want to hear inspiring stories and insightful discussions about faith, culture, and current events? Tune in to the Muslim Insight, your weekly news updates where we tell you stories that matter to you. The Muslim Insight, informing, inspiring, every Friday from 8 a.m. with me, Zamzam Ahmed.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
Enyi mlioamini, munapoitwa kuhudhuria swala ya Ijumaa, fanyeni haraka kuikimbilia, muache biashara zenu. Hilo ni bora ikiwa mwelewa.
Isikilizeni kwa umakinifu khutba ya Ijumaa
ili uzidi kujenga imani yako na kupata faida nyingi ya siku hii.
Coming to you every Friday from Jamia Mosque, Nairobi.
Live on Horizon TV.
Quote of the day. Imam Malik bin Anas said, I am but a man. I make mistakes sometimes, and I am correct sometimes. So examine my opinions and accept anything that agrees with the book and sunnah, and leave anything that does not agree with the book and sunnah.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. My name is Faisal Kassim, and thank you so much for keeping it live real talk. We're talking about the worst genocide ever to be seen on the face of the earth, because, I mean, how can you tell since October 2023 up to now, over 50,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. A good percentage of that being women and children, innocent women and children. We've seen exodus, we've seen movement of people, we've seen weaponizing of aid in Gaza, we've seen bombing of journalists, bombing of humanitarian health workers, we have seen innocent children, infants, not even children, infants being pulled out of rubbles in Palestine, in Gaza. So unfortunate, really unfortunate. And that's what we're discussing about right now. Before we come into Kenya and discuss what we can do as a country, we can do as a people of this great nation of Kenya, let's try and first and understand what is the situation as it stands. Because you remember the October 7th, where Hamas tried to take back their country and win their independence over. That was followed by heavy attacks a week later, that is October 14th, and that has not stopped apart from in two occasions. One for the exchange of prisoners, and two recently with the ceasefire. But again, it has resumed. And this, as I say, is the worst genocide ever to be ever witnessed. And I'm here with our brother, our Sheikh Mohammed Abdinoor, to help us deconstruct some of these matters. Yeah, Sheikh.
Faisal, thank you so much. As we speak,
now,
the situation in Gaza is very dire. Yet, in the words of the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, aid is piling up outside Gaza. In the full glare of the population, who can see food, who can see water, who can see medicine, but they can't access. The international community cannot act to deliver aid to Gaza because the United Nations Relief Organization for the Palestinian refugees that has been there for decades has now been banned from operating in Gaza. This is UNRWA. It's a UN organization. It's not any other ordinary organization. It's not an NGO. It's not a CBO. It's not any other ordinary. It's a UN organization. So this is a cause to worry, really. When the UN cannot operate, when the UN cannot provide services that they are mandated to. So we are talking about close to 2 months now of people who have no water, who have no food, who have no electricity, who have no services, who have no hospitals, who have no medicine, who have no shelter. 2 million plus population. The entire Gaza is now reduced to rubble, completely destroyed. As of December, Faisal, I don't have the recent figures, we were talking about 100,000 tons of explosives having been dropped in Gaza. I did a simple maths. If you do 100,000 tons and you multiply by 1,000 kilograms, and you divide that by the population of Gaza, it means every man, woman, child in Gaza was entitled to receive 46 kilograms of explosives. A lot of them exploded and a lot of them unexploded. So really the rules of engagement have changed. What the apartheid regime, apartheid occupier of Israel is now doing is starvation. Making sure that the population doesn't get any services and they die of hunger and thirst. We have seen piles and piles of bodies, something that has never been seen before, mainly of children and women. Just last week, 7th of this week actually, Israel walked into UNRWA schools, 6 of them, and closed them down completely and shut them down. Those were the only existing institutions. So we are talking about children who for 1.5 years have not seen schooling, for 1.5 years have lived under bombardment, for 1.5 years have lived under fear. So as you have said before, aid has been weaponized against any rules of engagement. The UN cannot operate and the international instruments against any rules of engagement. These people cannot get services or supplies from their neighbors against any rules of engagements. They continue to be bombarded against any rules of engagement. And now there is military deployment and entry into Rafah. What they say is that we want to finish the final leg. The final leg means no human being will live in Gaza. This is what they say. This is what they say. And this is what the world is hearing. We have had a situation, and just recently, where journalists, one journalist was burnt alive in his tent, just next to Al-Nasri hospital, alive. And many of these journalists have also been killed. we are talking about 51,000 plus people. Those are very conservative figures. They could be much more, actually, much more, because there are many people who are unaccounted for, under rebels. We are talking about people who have been uprooted from their homes, that's a war crime. When you displace people forcefully, when you uproot people from their homes and their places of habitation, basically that is genocide. It's not only in the numbers of death, but people are being forcefully evicted. And we have had the very unfortunate statement that was made by President Trump, that he wants to make Gaza, a better place, do a very good resort and take Gazans elsewhere. So the situation as it is now is quite unprecedented. It's quite unprecedented. We are talking about starvation. We are talking about diseases. We are talking about children who have been separated from their parents, or their parents having completely been wiped out. And therefore, we are talking about a population that is staring at death. Someone referred to Gaza as death field. It's no longer Gaza now. Actually, it's a death field where everyone is waiting to die.
But the resilience is on another level.
So this is the situation.
Yeah.
This is the situation. The resilience, the faith, the trust in their Creator, and the hope that they have is at another level.
Yeah.
But what the international community is witnessing, what the government of Israel and its allies are doing, is to wipe out an entire population on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
This is what worries everyone. This is what makes us unable to sleep in our rooms. This is what makes us think about this situation every other day. This is what every human being, because we are talking about humanity, people of all faith, people of all color, citizens of every country. Sometimes I get very, very shocked when I see some statements on social media. It's not us versus them. It's not Israel versus Palestine. It's not. It's not Jews versus Muslims. No, it's not. It is humanity that's at a test. This is the lowest of the low that we could get. In this time and era, honestly, after the many, many incidences that we have had, where people were either forcefully evicted or displaced or lives have been lost, we said never again. Never again. But now, in this time and era, humanity is sinking to the lowest of the low.
Something that has not been.
So, decisive, firm, and loud. These should be the words. We have to act decisive. Governments of the world must act decisive. The leaders must take a position, including our own country.
And that's what I need to ask.
The leaders must take a position.
Yeah.
The world leaders must take a position. And there are no two ways about it. It is stop this genocide, we want ceasefire, and we want a two-state solution. This is what everyone else should be talking about.
Many of them have spoken about it.
Permanent solution.
Many of them have spoken about it.
But who cares then?
What else can we do?
Who cares then?
What else can they do, the global
What else
leaders?
they can do? What else they can do is to be decisive now. Saying is one thing and coming together and acting in one voice. Whether it's regional organizations, whether it is communities such as the East African Community, or whether it's the African Union, or whether it's the Global South or North, it is time that the leaders now come together as regional blocks and speak in one voice.
Can we, for example, as
number
a people,
two, number two, a number of countries, and thanks to Northern Ireland that spoke this very, very eloquently, a number of countries are now talking about diplomatic solutions. It's no longer going to be engagements. They have ambassadors.
That's what I wanted to ask you. So can we then do that as a country? Turkish government released a statement yesterday talking about abnormalizing the diplomatic relation with the apartheid state of Israel. something that I find a bit ironical, because on one end they're saying they're not normalizing the state, but on the other end some of Israel's main resources, including petrol and fuel, are passing through Turkish sea line or airspace or whatever. But anyway, that's a totally different subject. But what you're talking about right now is, can we then as a people decide and say, you know what, we are going to petition our government to abnormalize the relation with Israel? Is that a possibility?
Precisely. You know, there is the nation's interests, there is diplomatic engagements, but over above all those things was what I said. It's a question about humanity. It's a question about who is, you know, this is like the Russian roulette. It happens, it's on your head, it's on someone's head. So what happens? So basically what we are saying is, as citizens, we must petition our governments. We must push our governments to speak loud about this, to disengage, whether it's economic engagement or whether it's diplomatic engagements with the state of Israel. And this has to be firm, loud and clear.
Wow.
Government, the presidents and the leadership of countries are a representative of the people. They are there by virtue of the representative of the people.
Yeah.
Let's start with the people first. Everyone who cares about humanity in this country and in every other country must speak about this, must write about this, must protest about this, must push for a diplomatic disengagement with the state of Israel. And there is no crime in doing that, because ICJ has done it, the UN has done it, ICC has done it. The International Criminal Court has issued warrants of arrest for its leaders. So if we are people who respect international instruments and international institutions, then we must enforce that. Thanks to South Africa, that has been one of the countries that has been on the forefront with regards to the ICJ, and the declaration that now Israel is an apartheid occupier. That's a serious declaration.
Yeah.
That's a serious. You know, who else are you waiting for? If the UN has told you that Israel is committing genocide, we have the biggest UN facility here in Gigiri. So what must the UN do? The UN must cascade this downwards. There is a Secretary General's voice that we always hear, but the UN at every country level must also engage governments, because the UN speaks the voice of the Secretary General. I am actually very, very shocked that we still don't hear voices from people like the International Committee of the Red Cross. ICRC, which is the custodian of the Geneva Convention and the additional protocols, the only time that we have seen them during is exchange of prisoners. But we are yet to see a very, very, maybe I was not very keen, but we are yet to see a very, very clear statements from the International Committee of the Red Cross that is the custodian of all the Geneva Conventions and additional protocols, come out loudly as the ICJ and as the UN and as the ICRC to issue a statement on their position. Of course, it's not taking sides because there is conflict. You know, one of the principles of the ICRC is independence, is neutrality. But that neutrality now is a question where you are saying that international humanitarian law and human rights law are being compromised. Who is the custodian of these laws? It's ICRC.
Yeah.
So a number of organizations, and we have seen many international organizations, I can name them, who have issued statements. Similarly, all the international organizations that are providing aid, not only in Israel but throughout the world, because we are serving humanity, must speak the same voice. And the UN has done it. We are yet to see a number of leading humanitarian organizations in the world. I don't have to name them in this studio, but we know them. Powerful Secretary General, powerful presidents that they have. This voice needs to come out clearly. But then as a country, what we are telling our government, thanks to this space, thanks for the declaration of a two-state, but what we want is actions that are of diplomatic disengagement nature.
Hopefully they'll come out soon.
Yes, and that's a precedent that has been set by many other countries, and basically we are following what the instruments say.
Sheikh Mohammed Abdinoor, with this few minutes, actually we've run out of time, but again, we cannot end the show without this. What can we as the Kenyan citizens do over and above petitioning our government maybe to stop or rather reduce diplomatic relations with the Israeli government, as you've mentioned? What else can we do as a people?
We must speak out.
How do we speak out? We are tweeting about
We have the right to protest. We have the right to picket. This is something that we must do. Number two, there are a number of organizations that are leading relief. Although relief is not reaching the people, we must donate to these organizations locally and internationally. And we must blow these voices. We must blow the voices. There's nothing that misses attention today. So as a people, we must get united. Number one, and speak on one voice. We can picket and demonstrate, and that we must do. It's a constitutional right. And number three, we must provide the support to whosoever is able to reach these human beings who are caged and enclaved and who are being led to slowly die of starvation. We must see how we can reach them. So donate whatever that you can to these organizations.
Thanks so much, Mr. Mohammed Abdinoor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In
case you're wondering where to donate, go to your M-Pesa right now, go to pay bill, and enter the following digits: 150770. Then you proceed to account and say Gaza, G-A-Z-A, Gaza. That is the account. Again, I'll repeat. Go to M-Pesa, pay bill 150770. Go to the account and say Gaza, G-A-Z-A. That's the account number. Proceed to the amount and put whatever figure you have, and that money will be used. All of it, by the way, will be used towards the donation, towards helping our brothers and sisters in Palestine. In case you're wondering what has happened before with the donation you gave, over 40 million shillings that was raised through this show, through the mosque, and many other activities around the country with the Voice of Palestine. They have partnered with two organizations that are actively on the ground and have their offices within Gaza, and they're helping people within Gaza. All of these finders will share clips with you. One of those organizations is Al-Imdad Foundation, and the other one is Al-Khair Foundation. They're both in Gaza, currently have offices in Gaza, and they're helping people in Gaza. So please, go ahead, donate, donate, donate. Your money may be used for medical aid or food aid or whatever aid that is currently needed on the ground as we speak. Brothers and sisters, fellow human beings, this is our war. All of us, you and I. As our guest, Mr. Mohammed Abdinoor said, today is Gaza. The other day was Bosnia. The other day was Shishan. The other day was a different country. Today is Gaza. Who knows about tomorrow? So if we all keep silent and keep on minding our business and discuss about our normal current political situation and forget about that, then trust you me, that is a continuation of a precedent that was set a long time ago. It is high time to stand up right now and stop this bad culture. We cannot stand aside and watch as fellow human beings are being massacred, are being killed, are being forced to die out of starvation. My name is Faisal Kassim, and this has been the Live Real Talk. See you next week, same place, same time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.